Audiobook Academy presents Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman Explained, Chapter 1, The Characters of the Story. In this introductory chapter, Daniel Kahneman introduces the two systems of thinking, System 1, which is intuitive, automatic, and fast, and System 2, which is deliberate, logical, and slow. He explains how these systems shape our decisions and judgments. Real-life example. Sarah was walking down a dimly lit alley when she suddenly heard a loud noise. System 1 quickly concluded it was a dangerous situation and prompted her to run. However, upon closer inspection, System 2 realized it was just a cat knocking over a trash can. Chapter 2. Attention and Effort. Kahneman explores the limited capacity of our attention and the effort required for cognitive tasks. He discusses how cognitive load affects decision making and influences the way we process information. Real example. David was taking a difficult exam while his phone kept buzzing with notifications. His attention was divided between the test and his phone, leading to reduced performance as he struggled to focus on both tasks simultaneously. Chapter 3. The Lazy Controller. This chapter delves into the phenomenon of cognitive ease and the role it plays in decision-making. Kahneman explains how our brains tend to prefer tasks and ideas that are easier to process, often leading to biases and shortcuts in judgment. Real example. During a job interview, the interviewer asked Laura a series of challenging questions. As she found it mentally taxing, her System 2 became lazy, and she relied on quick, instinctive answers rather than carefully considering each response. Chapter 4. The Associative Machine. Kahneman explores the nature of the associative memory, how it forms impressions and makes decisions based on past experiences and mental shortcuts. He discusses the implications of these mental associations on our perceptions and judgments. Real-life example. Mark watched a movie that depicted sharks as aggressive predators. The next time he went to the beach, he couldn't help but feel anxious, even though the likelihood of encountering a shark was extremely low. Chapter 5. Cognitive Ease. Building on the concept of cognitive ease, this chapter examines how our feelings of ease or difficulty influence decision-making and judgments. Kahneman highlights how manipulations of cognitive ease can impact our perceptions. Real-life example. Jenny saw two advertisements for the same product, one in a clear, easy to read font and another in a challenging font. She found the first ad more appealing due to the cognitive ease associated with reading it. Chapter 6. Norms, Surprises, and Causes. Kahneman delves into how our brains construct narratives and causal explanations for events, often influenced by normative expectations and surprise elements. Real-life example. After winning a lottery, Tom attributed his luck to a series of fortunate coincidences, downplaying the role of chance in his victory. Chapter 7. A Machine for Jumping to Conclusion. This chapter explores the prevalence of intuitive thinking and the associated biases, such as the availability, heuristic, and representativeness, heuristic. Real-life example. When asked about her view on crime rates, Lisa relied on recent crime news she heard on television, overestimating the likelihood of becoming a crime victim. Chapter 8. How Judgments Happen. Kahneman delves into the mechanics of judgment formation, discussing anchoring, framing, and the influence of irrelevant information on decision-making. Real-life example. When negotiating a salary, James started with an inflated anchor amount, leading the employer to adjust their offer accordingly, resulting in a more favorable outcome for James. Chapter 9. Answering an easier question. In this chapter, Kahneman explains how our minds often substitute complex questions with simpler ones, leading to biases in our responses. Real-life example. Mary was asked to estimate her annual household expenses, but instead of providing an accurate figure, she relied on the easier question of how much she spent on groceries each month and extrapolated from there. Chapter 10. The Law of Small Number. This chapter addresses the law of small numbers, the misconceptions about random events, and the gambler's fallacy. Real-life example. John, an amateur gambler, believed that after a series of losses, his chances of winning in the next round increased, leading him to make irrational betting decisions. Key points. 1. There are two systems of thinking. System 1, intuitive and fast, and System 2, deliberate and slow. 2. Cognitive load affects decision-making and attention. 3. Cognitive ease and associative memory influence perceptions and judgments. 4. Mental shortcuts and biases impact decision-making. 5. Our brains tend to jump to conclusions based on limited information. Moral lessons. 1. Recognize the limitations of intuitive thinking and the importance of deliberate reasoning. 2. Be mindful of cognitive biases and mental shortcuts that can cloud judgment. 3. Strive for cognitive balance by understanding when to rely on intuition and when to engage in deeper, systematic thinking.
Thank you so much for watching at Audiobook Academy. I hope you found this video enjoyable and informative. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more amazing content just like this.